Hey everyone, today I am here with another Disney video for you. This one I've been so excited to film because it's about my favourite part of Disney, and that is Disney Pixar. So over the last few months while we were in lockdown yet again, me and Josh decided to watch all the Disney Pixar films in order. So naturally, of course, I'm now going to make a video where I rank all 23 of the Disney Pixar films. So starting at the bottom, and at number 23 we have Cars 2. This film is terrible, absolutely terrible. I just got completely bored watching this film. This one focuses around Mater, and as a character they try to make him fun and lovable, but to be honest, I just find him extremely annoying. I don't know why they went from Cars into Cars 2 and decided, yes, let's make this a spy film, because that's what everybody wants. Like, what was that all about? Number 22, we have The Good Dinosaur. I'll be honest with you, before we watched this one again, didn't really remember much about it, and I think I'd only watched it once. I think it's a cute film and it's got a nice little story, but honestly it kind of just bored me a little bit, and I just think this film is a little bit basic in comparison to some of the other Pixar films. One thing I will rate highly is the animation in this film. The landscapes and stuff look insane. I remember in the film there being like shots of water and like just shots of rivers and stuff, and honestly the water looks so realistic it genuinely could be real. Reasonably enjoyable film, sweet little story, but I think it's just not for me. So at number 21 we have Cars 3. Cars 3 is quite low at number 21, but I cannot stress to you how much better than Cars 2 this film is. I honestly was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I think the main reason I enjoyed it is just the lack of Mater in this film, and the storyline just, I think, is more fitting with the first film. I feel like you can literally go from Cars to Cars 3 and it was like Cars 2 never happened. I don't feel like they needed to make that many Cars films, but I can see why they did it, and I can see how the film series appeals to younger kids and stuff as well. So moving on to number 20, and we have Cars. Yeah, this one is definitely my favourite out of the three. It's definitely got some good moments in it. It's probably the funniest one out of the three, and it's got some heartwarming moments in it too. So moving on to number 19, and at number 19 we have Onward. I didn't really have high expectations for this film. I obviously didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema, and I didn't rush to see it on Disney Plus. People weren't really rating it that much, but I was quite surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I really thought the storyline for Onward was very interesting. I like the idea of the fact that technology has made all these magical creatures really lazy. I thought that was quite funny, and yeah, it was just one of those ones that's kind of about family and one of those kind of heart-wrenching Pixar films. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but as you can see, it's not one of my favourites. So moving on to number 18, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but number 18 is Toy Story 4. I can't believe I'm putting a Toy Story film this low on the list, but I honestly thought Toy Story 4 was a massive letdown. I feel like the third one ended so perfectly. The fourth one was just unnecessary, and I feel like just a way to make more money, if I'm honest. Of course, it was Toy Story, so it had really funny bits and it had good bits, and again the animation on this is incredible. It's amazing to sit and watch Toy Story 4 and compare that to Toy Story, which was the first Pixar film, and see how the animation has improved over the years. I don't know, it just doesn't live up to the other three in my opinion. I really hated the lack of the original characters in Toy Story 4, and I'll be honest, I don't really like how they portrayed Buzz in this film with the whole inner voice thing. I thought they made Buzz look very stupid, and he's definitely not. And the ending, like, I feel like the ending just goes against everything Woody stood for in the first three films. I totally get how it's trying to show how people change over the years, and also how like what's important to you changes. I just can't deal with the thought of Andy finding out that Bonnie just lost Woody. The thought of that just breaks my heart. So moving on to number 17, and we have Ratatouille. I'll be honest, this is one of those other Pixar films that I tend to forget about. I haven't watched it in years, and it's definitely quite underrated. I love Remy the Rat. I think he's adorable, and I love how driven he is, and I love the message of like anyone can cook and anyone can do anything they put their minds to. Some of the scenes in this film are beautiful as well, like the scenes of Paris. It honestly made me miss France so much and made me really want to go back. So at number 16 we have A Bug's Life, a Pixar classic that I feel doesn't get enough mention. I absolutely loved this film as a kid. Even when I rewatched it now, I still loved it and it still made me laugh out loud at points. Circus bugs are probably my favourite part of the film. I absolutely love those characters. I love the end credits for Bugs Life. Why don't Pixar do that anymore? Those kind of outtake credits that they did on the first few of their films. Like, I think they're absolutely hilarious. Like, they should definitely bring that back. So at number 15 we have Brave. I actually really love this film. I love the story and I love that it's set in Scotland because that's not something you see very often, especially in Disney. I also just love that they've made Merida a Disney princess who doesn't need a man to fight for her and how she can just stand up for herself. I'm all for that. Merida, I think, is just a kick-ass character, even though she does probably make some questionable decisions in the film. But I think it's nice to see how her relationship with her mother changes over the film and how her mum learns so much from her when she's a bear. And also her brothers as the three bears are just absolutely adorable. I would definitely say this is one of my favourite Disney princess films and a Disney princess film I love, which is rare because some of them I just don't really care for, to be honest. So moving on to number 14, we have Finding Dory. I am a big Finding Nemo fan. You'll find out more about that later in this video. So I was so excited when they announced they were doing a second Finding Nemo film. I was so keen to see this film that we were actually in New York and I made my family go watch it in the cinema because it came out earlier in America than what it did in the UK. That's how desperate I was to see this film. However, I feel like I came out of this film massively disappointed. I just don't think it really lives up to the first one. I will admit, I haven't watched this film much in recent years, so I feel like maybe I was a bit hard on it when it first came out, because when I watched it recently, I actually did enjoy it more than I expected. One of the things I did love about the film was I loved hearing about Dory's history. I love how they basically explained all the little quirks from the first film of Dory's, and let's be honest, baby Dory is absolutely adorable. I love the return of all the old characters. Feel like it definitely needed more of the Tank Gang, I'll be honest. And I did love most of the new characters. I don't know, some of them I found were just a bit over the top. I just feel like there were bits in the film where the humour felt a little bit forced, and I think that's why I probably wouldn't put it as high as the first film. So at number 13 we have Coco, and I will hold my hands up and say this is a Pixar film I definitely have not appreciated enough. I really enjoyed watching this film again. I think it's such a beautiful film. Like the animation and like the colouring, the music in this film is just so good. And like the storyline, oh, it's such an emotional film. And the ending honestly gets me every time. And yeah, I feel like Coco is quite different to other Pixar films. And I also really like the fact that it explores different cultures and it kind of gives me into a bit of an insight into cultures I don't really know much about. I definitely feel like Coco is a film I probably need to watch more. So at number 12 we have Incredibles 2. Now so far I have not rated sequels very high, but I feel like this one does actually live up to the original. The thing I love about Incredibles 2 is that we get to see kind of more of the family superpowers and how they've kind of become a better team. That's just badass. The only negative thing I would say about this film is that I thought the whole villain reveal was quite predictable and a bit cliche. I feel like it was meant to be this whole twist, but I feel like you could have seen it coming. However, yeah, I do love this film, and I feel like it lives up so well to the original that next on my list is The Incredibles at number 11. Rewatching The Incredibles made me so nostalgic of playing Lego Incredibles. We completed it at the beginning of the first lockdown, and damn, that is a good game. I would definitely recommend. I just love The Incredibles films. I think they're really funny and they're a great story about family. Again, with this Pixar film, I love the side characters in it, like Edna Mode and Frozone are my absolute favourite. A great film and a film I'm glad they made a sequel of. So at number 10 we have Monsters University, another sequel that I actually really enjoyed. Well, I guess it's a prequel, but you know what I mean. I think the story is a great idea for a prequel, kind of seeing how Mike and Sully got to where they were in the first film. Also, again, Pixar does like kind of baby versions of characters so well, because I am obsessed with baby Mike. I think he is adorable. One thing what I don't understand with this film though is why they keep saying that Mike Wazowski is not scary. Because I feel like if I was a kid and a green one-eyed monster walked into my room, I would have been pretty scared. So what is that about, Pixar? So coming in at number 9, we have Up. This film makes me so emotional every time I watch it. But like I said, Pixar was always good at those kind of gut-wrenching kind of moments, but when it made Up, it just completely took it to another level. This film is honestly just full of those really emotional moments. Like, this film will literally make you laugh out loud, make you cry, make you feel every emotion. It's got like a really beautiful message about how to carry on with life after loss. I just think it's a great classic Pixar film, and the only reason I wouldn't rate it higher than what it is just the whole villain in it. I don't know, I feel like you could still have a really great story without the whole villain bit. But yeah, either way, it's such a good film. So at number 8, we have Toy Story 3, another film that makes you emotional as hell. This one probably makes me the most emotional out of the 4 Toy Story films. Toy Story 3 came out when I was about 15, 16, and kind of when you're at that age, you're going through a lot of change and you're having to like grow up and stuff. So I feel like Toy Story 3 was a film I could definitely relate to when it came out. I remember being very emotional when I watched it in the cinema, and it still gets me every time now. I mean, that scene where they're all just holding hands, accepting that they're about to die, like what the hell is that about Disney? It's just such a good film and such a perfect end to the trilogy, and I think that's partly the reason why I can't get on board with the 4th one. So sticking with Toy Story, at number 7 we have Toy Story 2. This is probably the Toy Story film I probably watched most as a kid. I realised when I watched it back that I pretty much know it word for word. But yeah, it's just great. I think what they did in Toy Story 2 and 3 better than what I feel like they did in Toy Story 4 is the introduction of new characters. Like, I absolutely love Jessie and Bullseye, and I just feel like they were always in the films now. This film is just a 10 out of 10 for that scene where Woody gets fixed. Like, that is the most satisfying film scene I have ever seen in my life. So at number 6 we have Monsters Inc. This is a film I absolutely loved as a kid and still absolutely love now. I always wonder, like, with these kind of films, who thinks the concept for these films? Like, the concept for Monsters Inc. is mad. It's so imaginative. Yeah, it's just an alright great film. I find this film really funny even now. A lot of that I feel is down to Mike Wazowski. Mike Wazowski is another one that is up there as one of my favourite Disney characters. I just think he's great. Just because I find this film quite a funny film doesn't mean Pixar skips on the kind of heartwarming emotional moments as well. Like the scene with Boo at the end is just like so sad. So moving on to number 5, and a surprise one on the list, is Soul. I was not expecting to put Soul this high on the list. I don't know whether it's because it didn't come out in the cinema or whatever. I just didn't think there was that much hype around it when it came out. Honestly, I was so blown away by this film. It's definitely one of the best Pixar films they've released in recent years, in my opinion. It gives me very similar vibes to Inside Out, and obviously, as I haven't mentioned that yet, we know I like that film quite a lot, but I feel like it's kind of a more mature version of Inside Out. Like, this film is definitely one that has been made for the adults, not the kids. Honestly think it's a masterpiece. Like, the music in this, the animation, oh, I just love it all, and I am 100% obsessed with Terry. So at number 4 we have WALL-E. This film I feel very passionate about. It is so underrated. I just absolutely love it, and I forgot how much I loved it until I rewatched it. I just love the concept for this film. I love any kind of films or books that are kind of that dystopian future or kind of that like techie robot kind of vibe. I also find this film so funny, and I think that's amazing when you think about pretty much the first half of the film has like no dialogue in it, and they make WALL-E so funny with just physical comedy and sounds. Yeah, I just think WALL-E's adorable. I don't know why, I'm a sucker for a Disney character that's a robot, as we can see with Baymax up there. I can see why this one's probably not up there for other people, but it's definitely my kind of film. So moving on to the top 3 now. And at number 3 we have Toy Story. We've got the OG Pixar film. This film is the oldest out of all the films and is the same age as me actually, but I still think it holds up so well today. As I already mentioned, obviously the animation has improved massively over the 4 films, but I think for the 90s the animation in this is so good. This film just makes me feel so nostalgic and just makes me laugh out loud, and it's just a real comfort film that I would just put on if I just was having a bad day, I guess. So many funny scenes in this film, and it was from this film that I just fell in love with all the like side characters, Potato Head, Ham, and like Rex and Slinky, and me and Josh just absolutely loved the aliens from Toy Story as well. Such a good film, and rightfully I feel I've ranked this at the top of all the Toy Story films because it is the #1. So down to the last two, and at number 2 we have Inside Out. This film I honestly think is astounding. The level of detail and thought that's gone into this film to portray the inside of someone's mind, I just think is incredible. It's one of those films that's got so much depth to it that I feel like every time I watch it I notice a little detail that I've never noticed before. It's done such a good job at portraying someone's mind, and I think it's really good, especially for kids, to kind of explain how emotions develop, how it's okay to be both happy and sad and angry, like all those emotions together make you who you are, and how you can't experience the major highs without the lows. And I just honestly find this film absolutely hilarious. I love how they portray everyone's minds, like the mum and the dad and the bus driver and the cat and the dog, as well as being funny. Again, it's emotional. And I honestly think if I had to describe Pixar and what Pixar is in one film, I would choose this film, because I think it is literally the epitome of what Pixar stands for. It's clever, it's funny, it's emotional, it has absolutely everything. So in at number 1, some of you might have been clever enough to figure out what's not been mentioned, but if you haven't, I'm sure the suspense is killing you. So yeah, at number 1 in my ranking of all the Pixar films, we have Finding Nemo. Now, this choice will probably not surprise anyone that actually knows me personally, as this has been my favourite film since it came out, since I was a child. I honestly watched this film on repeat as a kid, so much so I even broke the VHS that it was on. Now, I'm not sure if I would rank this at the very top if I watched it just as an adult. I think Inside Out might just top it for me, but I feel like because I've got so much attachment to this film and it gives me so much nostalgia of being a kid, it just could not be at the top. This film used to like proper crack me up as a kid, and it still does now. And I just also think the film just has a really nice message about family and friendship and kind of letting go of things and growing up, which I feel like is something I could relate to a lot as a kid, as I was someone that had a very overprotective dad, so I kind of knew how Nemo was feeling. So that is my ranking of all 23 Pixar films. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my rankings. I would really be interested to see how other people would rank them. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I shall speak to you in the next one. Bye.